Hi guys, this is Jordan with Motion Array, and I know that a lot of the times the things that we talk about here are related to editing. But as an editor, one of your biggest limitations is the footage that you have to work with. When you're given amazing footage, it makes your job of piecing it all together a lot easier, but it can be really frustrating to be asked to make an amazing masterpiece when the footage you're given to work with is... So today, we're going to go over an aspect of filmmaking that can really help to boost your overall project. In specific, it'll help your video to taste a little bit more delicious as it goes into the eyes of your audience. Composition. When we're talking about composition, we're talking about what your camera sees, and by extension, what your audience sees. So often, it can be really easy when we want to get a shot to just throw up the camera, hit record, and then go for it without any second thought. But if you take just a moment and think through your next shots with these tips in mind, I guarantee it'll make a huge impact on your next video. So let's get started. Number 1, the rule of thirds. This rule comes down to the basic principle that things look really good when you put points of interest on the thirds of your frame. What do I mean by that? Basically any of these points, with emphasis on the places where the lines intersect. Let's take a look at the shot of the ocean. Right now it's just centered on the horizon. It's a nice shot, but let's try moving the horizon to the lower third. It feels better, doesn't it? Let's try it with a person now. We have our main character in the dead center, but let's try moving them over, putting their eye on the intersecting third. Now the image just looks a lot better. When it comes down to it, you should be able to feel the difference of this rule. It feels better. It feels like a stronger image. Now, there's a lot of different reasons why people claim this works, but I'm just going to give you a brief overview summarizing a lot of other people's thoughts. When you have a shot of anything, you've got a crazy amount of things that people could focus on. There's more than 2 million individual pixels in this shot alone that you could technically look at. And if you don't know where to start, you'd need a lot of time to take in the image. But now we've placed a person on the third of the shot. Now we're saying, okay, this person is where I'm going to start looking when I mentally take in this shot. It's like a roadmap for your image. Start here, move this way, and take in the rest of the image from there. But it can go deeper than that too. Now everything that we see in this shot is in the context of what this character is thinking and feeling. So then how does it work for all those times you see an item or a person placed directly in the center of frame, kind of like I am now? For that, we have to go to rule number 2, symmetry. Typically there's 2 different situations in which this happens. One is when you're highlighting the beauty in a shot. For some reason, as humans, we really respond to symmetry. It looks and it feels good. And to be honest, that's the main reason why a lot of people will choose to use it. Because symmetry just feels good to look at. But you've got to keep that in mind with this second piece. Whenever you put someone or something in the center of frame, you're telling your audience, I really, 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 really want you to focus on this. This is why you'll see these kind of shots used a lot when a character is experiencing a powerful moment. But if that thing isn't really worth focusing on, or if that person isn't saying, doing, or feeling something important, it feels like you're getting a conflicting message. Number 3, leading lines. Plain and simple, visible lines in your shot will subconsciously tell your audience where they should be looking at. When your eyes look around the screen and they see those lines are basically saying, hey, how's it going? There's nothing really going on over here, but let me show you where the great stuff is happening. So let's go. It acts as a gentle way to help guide your audience to focus on a specific point that you want them to. And like symmetry, it adds an element to your shot that's just really nice to look at. Number 4, leading room and headroom. Typically, you'll use this rule in combination with the rule of thirds. Basically, headroom just refers to the fact that you don't want the top of your character's head to leave the frame. It helps to prevent your image from feeling squished or claustrophobic. The time when you'd forget about this is when you're doing a close-up or an extreme close-up, where you're trying to get closer to your subject's eyes, and it becomes impossible to keep everything in frame. Now the second piece to this is the direction that your character is looking. Take the direction that your character is facing, or if that's not obvious, the direction that their body is turned more towards. Now place your character on the opposite side of frame so that the direction they're looking to has more space. The reason you do this is to give a sense of context for the space that they're in. If your subject is moving and you short side their framing, it can become really hard to tell if they're going to run into anything. It becomes really unnerving to watch them move because we can't really get a read for what's happening in the space around them. The same thing applies for if they're speaking. If you butt them right up to the edge of frame, you can't tell whether or not the person they're talking to is 2 inches or 20 feet away from their face. Use this rule to prevent your shots from getting really uncomfortable. Number 5, depth. Every shot has a foreground, a midground, and a background. And what you choose to show or to not show tells a lot about what's in your shot. There are times when you're going to want absolutely no distraction from your subject, and you take the midground and background away so that you have no discernible element other than your character. But most of the time, that's not going to be the case. Most of the time, you're going to want to establish your character in the world that you've placed them in. How do they relate to the world around them, including the things that are out of focus? A lot of this will be impacted by two things: where you shoot and what lens you shoot with. If you choose a shot with a wide-angle lens, you'll notice two things. One, you'll see that there's a larger amount of space that's in focus, even when shooting wide open, making it more difficult to separate your subject by blurring out the background. And two, you'll see that the distance between your subject and the background is exaggerated in terms of how far away it looks. The reverse is also true. Using a lens with a longer focal length will make it easier to get a shallow depth of field, even if you're using the exact same f-stop. It helps when separating your character from their background, while at the same time making objects in the background appear closer than with a wide angle. Your choices will help your audience to determine what they focus on, what they find important, and how your character relates to the world around them. Number 6, size equals power. This one seems really simple, but it actually has huge implications for your project. If an object takes up a large amount of the frame, then your audience will see it as big and important. If it only takes up a small amount, then it's small and insignificant in our minds. This can be used in a couple of different forms. One is it can help us to choose what to focus on. There's things in the background of the shot, but nothing is as big as our main character, who dominates the frame, so they take our attention. When choosing your shots, it's important to think about how your framing will impact how your audience views your subject. Choosing a wide shot of someone standing in an open space can give the sense that they're insignificant, or maybe they're lost, while switching up that same shot to a medium or a close-up can subtly tell us that they have more control over their situation. Camera angles also play a big role in this. By setting up your camera low and angling up towards your subject, it can convey that they're looming over you and that they have a sense of dominance, as we literally have to look up to them. But the reverse is also true. By setting up the camera high and angling down, we literally end up looking down at our subject and therefore viewing them as weaker. So keep this in mind next time you're shooting your subject. And finally, number 7, don't follow these rules. Wait, what I actually mean is don't follow these rules religiously. Everything that we've gone over so far is valid information that you should use whenever you can, but those rules aren't the end goal in and of themselves. They're just avenues to get to your bigger goal, which is conveying your message and telling your story. The longer you film, the more you'll find ways that either following or breaking these rules will help you achieve different results. Following proper leading room can feel nice, but sometimes that's not your objective. Sometimes you really want your audience to feel uncomfortable. Sometimes you want to put an object in the center of frame that's not important. And because of this clash, it comes across as funny or shows how ridiculous a situation is. The point is, at the end of the day, people won't walk away from your video thinking about how great that 27th shot was. They'll walk away with thoughts and feelings, and you get to help decide what those are. But this is just a starting point. Take this information, use it, or don't use it, and see where it leads you. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.